Men, listen carefully. What a woman feels when you're not around is far more revealing than what she says when you are. Modern dating often leaves men guessing. Does she miss you, think about you, or even care when you're not in her immediate presence? Understanding her true emotions in your absence is critical, because it tells you more about attraction, investment, and connection than any words ever could. When a woman is genuinely interested, your absence triggers thoughts, emotions, and subtle behavioral responses. She may feel curiosity, longing, or even a desire to reach out. On the other hand, if she is indifferent, your absence barely registers. She goes about her day without thought, consideration, or emotional engagement. Men often mistake casual attention or fleeting interaction for genuine emotional investment, and this misreading can lead to wasted effort, frustration, and lowered self-respect. This video will break down 7 key signs that reveal what a woman truly feels when you're not around. Each sign reflects her emotional state, priorities, and level of attachment, whether conscious or unconscious. Recognizing these patterns allows you to see clearly whether she is genuinely invested or simply passing time. We'll explore what drives these feelings, how they manifest in behavior, and how you should respond to maintain your value, confidence, and emotional independence. Understanding what a woman feels in your absence gives you the upper hand in dating, letting you differentiate between fleeting interest and real attraction. This isn't about manipulation. It's about awareness, clarity, and reading female psychology in a way that helps you make smarter decisions in the modern dating world. 1. She thinks about you. One of the most telling signs of a woman's true feelings when you're not around is whether she thinks about you. This goes beyond casual or fleeting thoughts. Consistent mental attention indicates emotional engagement and attraction. When a woman is genuinely interested, your absence triggers curiosity, reflection, or even a subtle desire to reach out. Men often overlook this because it's not always obvious, but her thoughts can manifest in small behavioral cues, like messaging you unexpectedly, bringing up shared experiences, or laughing at memories you created together. Psychologically, thinking about someone is an unconscious signal of attachment and interest. When a woman repeatedly has you on her mind, it means your presence impacts her emotions and daily experiences. Your absence is not just noticed, it influences her feelings. In contrast, when she rarely thinks about you or seems indifferent, it reflects low investment. Men who misread fleeting attention for genuine thought often overcompensate, trying to create interest that isn't organically there. Behavioral patterns are critical to understand. Does she initiate conversation when you haven't reached out in a while? Does she recall details about your life or past interactions even when you're not present? Does she bring up shared experiences spontaneously? These are strong indicators that she is mentally and emotionally processing your absence. Genuine interest is shown through curiosity and reflection, not just superficial attention when you are immediately available. Men frequently make the mistake of testing this by ignoring her or overanalyzing every interaction. While observing patterns is useful, overthinking can lead to unnecessary frustration. The key is to notice whether her thoughts about you are consistent and reflected in subtle behavior, rather than attempting to provoke or manipulate a response. Understanding whether she thinks about you also has long-term implications for attraction. A woman who reflects on your presence, even in your absence, is more likely to feel attachment, longing, and emotional connection. Conversely, lack of mental engagement indicates a relationship that is transactional or superficial. Men who recognize this early avoid over-investing in someone whose interest is minimal, preserving confidence and self-respect. In modern dating, mental and emotional attention are as important as physical presence. Thinking about you signals attraction, curiosity, and attachment. Ignoring this aspect often leads men to misjudge interest and waste energy pursuing someone who is disengaged. Recognizing it allows you to understand where she truly stands emotionally and act in a way that maintains your value and emotional independence. In short, if she consistently thinks about you when you're not around, it is a strong signal of genuine interest and emotional engagement. Patterns of reflection, curiosity, and connection reveal her true feelings far more than words or occasional interaction. 2. She feels curiosity about your life. Another key indicator of what a woman feels when you're not around is her curiosity about your life. Genuine interest shows itself in the questions she asks, the topics she remembers, and her desire to stay updated on your activities. When a woman is invested, she doesn't just wait for you to reach out. She actively wonders what you're doing, how you're feeling, and what's happening in your world. Curiosity is a subconscious measure of emotional engagement. It shows that she values your life and wants to be connected, even in your absence. Psychologically, curiosity is linked to attachment and attraction. When someone is genuinely interested, they seek mental and emotional connection, even when physically apart. A woman who regularly checks in, asks about your day, or follows up on things you've mentioned is demonstrating a form of emotional presence. Conversely, if she shows little to no curiosity about your life, it signals detachment and low emotional investment. Men often misinterpret superficial conversation or politeness as interest, but true curiosity manifests in consistent attention to details and sincere engagement. Behavioral patterns make this clear. Does she ask follow-up questions about things you've shared in past conversations? Does she remember small details, like your preferences or upcoming events, and bring them up later? Does she express genuine interest in your opinions, accomplishments, or experiences? When these behaviors are present, they show that your absence matters to her emotionally. If these patterns are absent, it reflects indifference, and your attention may not be as meaningful to her as you think. Men often respond to a lack of curiosity by increasing their own efforts, sharing more, checking in constantly, or trying to provoke engagement. This is a mistake. Interest should be mutual. Overcompensating when curiosity is absent signals neediness and lowers perceived value. Emotional independence, confidence, and selective attention are far more effective in maintaining attraction and balance in modern dating dynamics. Curiosity also reveals the depth of a woman's feelings. When she consistently shows interest in your life, it often translates into anticipation, longing, and a desire to reconnect. A lack of curiosity, however, usually indicates that your presence is optional rather than valued. Recognizing this early allows men to protect their emotional energy and focus on relationships where engagement is genuine and reciprocal. In short, curiosity about your life is one of the clearest indicators of emotional investment. A woman who genuinely cares will show interest in your world, remember details, and maintain mental engagement even when you're not physically present. Men who notice these patterns gain insight into her feelings, allowing them to act with clarity, preserve self-respect, and invest in relationships where attention and attraction are truly mutual. 3. She experiences subtle longing. One of the most revealing signs of a woman's true feelings when you're not around is subtle longing. This isn't always overt. She might not text, call, or explicitly say she misses you, but her actions, tone, and behavior often betray it. Subtle longing can appear in many ways: reminiscing about shared moments, smiling at memories, engaging with things that remind her of you, or even showing signs of curiosity about your availability. Men often overlook this, thinking that absence equals indifference, but genuine attraction often manifests quietly, in small, unconscious gestures. Psychologically, longing reflects emotional attachment. When a woman feels a connection, your absence triggers her mind to focus on you, even if she doesn't consciously realize it. These thoughts can generate emotional responses such as excitement, curiosity, or even mild restlessness. Conversely, if she truly feels nothing in your absence, there is no longing, no reflection, and no emotional stir. Men frequently misread fleeting attention or casual politeness as a sign of longing, but subtle patterns over time reveal the truth. Behavioral patterns demonstrate this clearly. Does she smile or react when reminded of shared experiences? Does she check in unexpectedly after some time apart? Does she bring up topics or inside jokes that only exist between the two of you? These are indicators that she feels your absence emotionally, even if she doesn't express it directly. In contrast, if she moves on quickly, forgets interactions, or shows no engagement, it's a sign of detachment and low interest. Men often respond to subtle longing with overanalysis or by trying to force expressions of desire. This is unnecessary and counterproductive. Subtle longing, when genuine, will naturally result in actions that indicate emotional investment over time. Emotional independence and awareness are key. By observing rather than trying to manufacture responses, men can accurately gauge her feelings and avoid overinvesting in someone whose absence doesn't affect her. Longing also correlates strongly with attachment and anticipation. Women who experience it often reflect on shared moments, look forward to future interactions, and maintain mental and emotional engagement. Without this feeling, there is no internal motivation to prioritize connection, and any effort on your part may feel one-sided. Recognizing subtle longing early provides clarity and helps men allocate energy wisely. In short, subtle longing is an unconscious indicator of emotional engagement. A woman who genuinely feels your absence will demonstrate patterns of attention, curiosity, or reflection, even in small ways. Men who can identify this recognize real investment, avoid misreading indifference, and maintain confidence and self-respect while pursuing relationships where emotional connection and attraction are mutual. 4. She checks in or reaches out. Occasionally, another sign of what a woman truly feels when you're not around is whether she checks in or reaches out, even sporadically. These interactions, though not constant, reveal that you occupy space in her mind and that she values maintaining some connection. Men often dismiss occasional texts, calls, or comments as casual politeness or friendliness, but in reality, they often reflect emotional engagement, curiosity, and lingering attraction. Psychologically, reaching out during your absence signals that she is thinking about you and wants to maintain a thread of connection. It demonstrates that your presence or absence elicits emotional and mental consideration. Even brief messages or gestures show that she is aware of your absence and feels some desire to bridge it, whether consciously or unconsciously. Conversely, if she never reaches out, ignores opportunities to connect, or seems indifferent to your communication, it indicates low investment and minimal emotional impact. Behavioral patterns make this clear. Does she send a casual, "How's your day?" message, even without prompting? Does she respond with interest when you share updates and occasionally initiate light conversation? Does she reference shared experiences or inside jokes to maintain the connection? These actions show subtle but real engagement. If these patterns are missing and her attention is purely reactive or absent, it reflects emotional disengagement. Men often misinterpret sporadic contact as disinterest or hot and cold behavior, trying to overanalyze timing or frequency. This overthinking can lead to frustration or chasing behavior, reducing perceived value. The key is to observe the consistency of her engagement relative to her patterns and context. Genuine interest doesn't require constant contact. It manifests in meaningful, deliberate gestures that reflect ongoing attention and emotional investment. Reaching out occasionally also reflects a balance between independence and attachment. Women who maintain some connection during your absence are signaling a healthy awareness of your presence in their life. Lack of engagement suggests detachment or minimal prioritization. Men who can recognize and interpret these signals maintain clarity about where the woman stands and can respond without overinvesting or misreading her intentions. In modern dating, understanding the significance of sporadic check-ins helps men differentiate between fleeting politeness and genuine emotional interest. Recognizing these subtle gestures allows you to gauge emotional engagement accurately, maintain your confidence, and act with clarity. In short, occasional reach-outs are a window into her feelings when you're not around. They reveal curiosity, attachment, and the emotional space you occupy in her mind. Men who understand this can distinguish between genuine interest and indifference, allowing them to focus their attention and energy wisely while preserving their value and emotional independence. 5. She mentions you to others. One of the most revealing signs of what a woman feels when you're not around is whether she talks about you to other people. This behavior may seem subtle or indirect, but it's one of the strongest indicators of emotional investment. When a woman brings you up in conversations with friends, family, or colleagues, it reflects that she is thinking about you, reflecting on your interactions, or sharing experiences related to you. Men often overlook this behavior, but it can reveal more about her feelings than anything she says directly to you. Psychologically, mentioning someone to others is a form of mental and emotional processing. It indicates that she considers you important enough to occupy her thoughts and share aspects of your connection with her social circle. This doesn't mean she's trying to brag or manipulate. It's often unconscious. If she speaks about you positively, recounts shared experiences, or seeks input about your interactions, it shows she is invested. Conversely, if she never references you, avoids conversations about you, or seems indifferent when your name comes up, it signals emotional detachment. Behavioral patterns are key. Does she casually bring up your interests, shared moments, or funny interactions in conversation with friends? Does she ask others about your actions, whereabouts, or opinions? Does she seem to care about how her words about you reflect on the relationship or connection? These are strong signs that she is emotionally engaged and processing her feelings even when you're not present. A woman who is disinterested will rarely mention you or will speak about you only when prompted, showing that your absence barely registers in her daily life. Men often misinterpret this behavior or fail to notice it altogether. Some may think that mentioning you to friends is trivial or irrelevant to your relationship, but in reality, it reflects ongoing mental and emotional engagement. Conversely, men who ignore patterns of absence-related detachment may continue to invest energy in someone who is emotionally distant, reducing their perceived value and risking frustration. Understanding this behavior also has strategic value. Recognizing when a woman talks about you gives insight into her level of interest, her priorities, and the emotional space you occupy in her life. It allows men to gauge whether her feelings are genuine, superficial, or non-existent, helping you decide how to invest your attention and energy wisely. In modern dating, attention is more than physical presence. It includes mental and emotional engagement. If she brings you up to others, it's a sign that she values your presence in her life, even when you're absent. Men who recognize this early can act with clarity, maintain confidence, and focus on relationships where attention and investment are mutual. In short, mentioning you to others is a subtle but powerful signal of her feelings in your absence. It shows that she thinks about you, values your connection, and is emotionally engaged. Recognizing this helps men differentiate between genuine interest and indifference, allowing them to protect their self-respect and pursue meaningful relationships. 6. She reacts to your absence emotionally. Another clear indicator of what a woman truly feels when you're not around is her emotional reaction to your absence. This doesn't necessarily mean dramatic outbursts or overt declarations. It can be subtle, nuanced, and often unconscious. Emotional reactions can include mild restlessness, curiosity, excitement when she knows you'll return, or even a shift in mood when your presence is missing. Observing these patterns provides insight into her attachment, investment, and genuine interest in the relationship. Psychologically, emotions are a reliable measure of attachment. When someone is interested, your absence triggers an emotional response, whether it's longing, anticipation, or reflection on shared experiences. Conversely, if she is indifferent, your absence barely affects her emotional state. She continues her routine unaffected, with no apparent thought or concern. Men often misinterpret neutrality or casual behavior as uncertainty or playing hard to get, but consistent emotional responses are far more telling than surface-level interactions. Behavioral patterns highlight this clearly. Does she seem brighter, more engaged, or attentive when reconnecting after a period apart? Does she reference the time you were gone, indicating reflection or awareness of your absence? Does her mood subtly shift in ways that suggest anticipation or longing for your presence? These signs reveal emotional engagement even when words are minimal. On the other hand, if her behavior is unchanged by your absence, she likely lacks investment. Men frequently make the mistake of testing or provoking emotional responses, trying to see if she cares by creating distance or ignoring her. While observation is useful, manipulation backfires. Genuine emotional responses cannot be manufactured. They emerge naturally in patterns of engagement. Recognizing authentic emotional reactions allows men to gauge interest accurately without overcomplicating the dynamic or appearing needy. Emotional reaction also connects strongly to attachment and desire. A woman who experiences subtle shifts in mood, curiosity, or anticipation when you're not around is signaling that she values your presence and thinks about the connection even in your absence. In contrast, indifference or emotional neutrality often indicates minimal investment or disinterest, which should be respected as a clear signal. In modern dating, understanding emotional responses during absence provides a deeper understanding of attraction and commitment. Men who can interpret these reactions maintain clarity, avoid over-investing in relationships where interest is low, and preserve emotional independence. It's not about creating drama, it's about observing patterns, understanding attachment, and acting in alignment with self-respect. In short, emotional reactions to absence are subtle but powerful indicators of genuine interest. A woman who feels something when you're not around, anticipation, curiosity, or reflection, is emotionally invested, even if she doesn't always express it directly. Recognizing this helps men make informed decisions about their relationships, protecting confidence, energy, and attraction. 7. She tries to maintain connection. The final and perhaps most decisive sign of what a woman really feels when you're not around is whether she makes an effort to maintain connection. This doesn't mean constant texting or calling. It's about meaningful, consistent gestures that show she values your presence and wants to remain emotionally or mentally linked. When a woman is genuinely interested, she will find ways to bridge the gap your absence creates, whether through messages, shared activities, or references to you in conversation. Conversely, if she makes no effort to stay connected, it signals indifference and low emotional investment. Psychologically, maintaining connection is a reflection of priority and attraction. Humans naturally seek to sustain bonds that matter to them. When a woman makes even small efforts to stay in touch, it demonstrates that your presence affects her thoughts and emotional state. She may send a casual text to check in, comment on something that reminds her of you, or engage with your social media to remain part of your world. These actions are subtle but meaningful. They show that she cares enough to keep you in her mental and emotional space. Behavioral patterns are the key indicators. Does she reach out to continue conversations even when she doesn't have an immediate reason? Does she share experiences or updates with you, keeping you informed about her life? Does she reference plans for the future or suggest ways to connect after time apart? These behaviors reveal a desire to maintain continuity in the relationship, even when you're physically absent. In contrast, a woman who doesn't attempt any form of connection likely views your presence as optional and does not invest emotionally. Men often misread sporadic engagement or minimal effort as ambivalence. While occasional contact is normal, the pattern and quality of these gestures reveal the truth about interest. Trying to force connection or overanalyzing minor interactions is a common mistake. It signals insecurity and neediness. Observing whether she initiates or reciprocates connection naturally over time is a much more reliable measure of genuine feelings. Maintaining connection also reflects a woman's emotional engagement and attachment style. A woman who feels connected even in your absence demonstrates care, curiosity, and a subconscious desire to nurture the bond. Without these efforts, a man can reasonably infer that his absence doesn't register significantly, and the relationship is unlikely to provide deep or consistent fulfillment. In modern dating, understanding whether a woman makes efforts to maintain connection protects a man's emotional energy and preserves self-respect. Recognizing genuine engagement allows men to differentiate between superficial attention and true interest, ensuring that they invest in relationships where reciprocity and emotional presence exist. In short, a woman's attempts to maintain connection when you're not around are one of the clearest indicators of attraction and emotional investment. Men who notice these patterns, understand the psychology behind them, and act with clarity, maintain confidence, protect their energy, and focus on relationships where interest, effort, and affection are mutual. Men, understanding what a woman truly feels when you're not around gives you clarity in modern dating, a clarity most men never achieve. Words can be misleading, gestures can be ambiguous, but her behavior in your absence tells the real story. From thinking about you, feeling curiosity, experiencing subtle longing, reaching out occasionally, talking about you to others, reacting emotionally, to maintaining connection, each of these patterns reveals her emotional investment and level of attraction. Ignoring them leaves you guessing, over-investing, and often frustrated. The key lesson is to observe patterns over time rather than isolated incidents. A woman who genuinely cares will show consistent mental, emotional, and behavioral engagement even when you're not present. Conversely, lack of thought, absence of curiosity, indifference to your absence, or no attempt to maintain connection are clear signs that your presence doesn't matter to her as much as you might hope. Men who fail to recognize this often fall into one-sided dynamics that erode confidence, lower perceived value, and create emotional imbalance. Your time, attention, and emotional energy are valuable. Recognizing these signs allows you to preserve them for women who truly reciprocate interest. Emotional independence and self-respect are not just attractive, they are essential. Acting decisively based on these observations prevents wasted effort and positions you in relationships where connection is genuine, mutual, and fulfilling. In modern dating, clarity is power. Observing how a woman reacts in your absence lets you understand her true priorities, emotional state, and attraction without relying solely on words. Patterns of thought, longing, curiosity, and connection reveal more than casual interaction ever could. Men who pay attention, act accordingly, and maintain their value create relationships based on mutual interest and respect. In short, what a woman does and how she feels when you're not around is a window into her real feelings. Recognizing these 7 signs, thinking about you, Curiosity, subtle longing, reaching out, talking about you, emotional reactions, and maintaining connection gives men the insight to act with confidence, preserve self-respect, and invest in relationships that are truly reciprocal. Focus your energy wisely, and never settle for ambiguity when clarity is available.